We were very fortunate. I mean, this was a very close call, and we escaped tragedy, no doubt.
It's a sight the Irving fire chief says he has never seen before. Firefighters working one wreck managed to escape another with just minor injuries, but that was not the end of the damage on Highway 183.
A new high school graduate remembered for his selflessness, killed while trying to help a stranger right in front of his cousin.
I started looking for him everywhere. I was like, where is he? Where is he? I was yelling, where are you, Luis, Luis? And then next thing you know, I saw him just there on the ground.
And the nearly 10-month streak is over. DFW finally officially tops out in triple digits. And while things will stay hot in North Texas, rain is finally back in the forecast.
The news leader, broadcasting for all North Texas. Fox 4 News starts now.
Right now, breaking news at DFW Airport, where police are investigating a suspicious vehicle outside of Terminal D. Good evening, I'm Richard Ray.
And I'm Natalie Solis. The airport says the car was left curbside. Cars are being diverted to other terminal entrances rather, and the walkway near that car is closed temporarily. Let's go ahead and take a live look from our tower cam at DFW Airport. Air traffic is still moving. No cancellations or delays have been reported. And of course, we will bring you more information on the investigation as it comes into our newsroom.
Finally. We're probably past due.
It has been very painful. It's extremely hot.
I know we're not ready for that 100 and some degree weather, but it's coming.
Yes, it did finally happen. Our first official 100-degree day since last September.
While parts of North Texas have hit 100 this summer, the area's official temperature is recorded at DFW Airport, and the mercury finally topped that sweet spot around 4 this afternoon. And Allie, maybe not so sweet if you didn't have plenty of AC.
Yeah, that's the complaint from a lot of folks. For the past several days, we've been at 99 at DFW, while other locations hit 100, 101. Well, today we did get to 100 after starting out at a warm 77. So that's just a few degrees above the normal of 97 for this time of year. And you know, it's North Texas and it's summertime, so we'll probably have a few more before the summer's over. Radar pictures very quiet. We've seen some showers in East Texas, that not going to impact us. Expecting mainly clear to clear skies for us tonight into tomorrow. A beautiful looking end to our day, but it's still hot. 94 in Dallas and Fort Worth, 93 in Louisville, and right at 90 degrees in Granbury. Winds remain out of the south and southeast. A little bit of a breeze tonight, not too bad. That southerly wind hangs on going into your Monday. If you like today, well, tomorrow's going to look pretty similar. I think just a few more clouds as the afternoon goes on. For your lunch hour, we're already at 95 and expecting another day of 100-degree temperatures. And it looks like there are a few more in that 7-day forecast. But we will see a front head this way, and that means a rain chance and some cooler temperatures. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a bit.
All right, thank you, Allie. A busy yet deadly few hours on North Texas roads overnight. 3 people were killed in 3 different cities, including 2 teens. One was a Good Samaritan.
The teenager was killed in Louisville, while a semi-driver died after slamming into an Irving fire truck. And another teenager was killed in a single-car wreck in Plano. That fiery crash early this morning in Plano killed the 18-year-old driver and injured another. Police say Alger Ben Baker died when his SUV crashed into a traffic signal pole. It happened in the northbound lanes of Preston Road at Tennyson Parkway. Baker's passenger, Daniel Mushak, was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Neither of the teenagers was wearing a seatbelt. A GoFundMe page has been set up to help Baker's family.
3 Irving firefighters thrown into traffic during a string of wrecks on Highway 183 are expected to be okay. One of those firefighters is still at Parkland Hospital more than 12 hours after an 18-wheeler slammed into their ladder truck. Now, just one of the 3 crashes, just one of those 3 crashes, one was deadly, 2 involving suspected drunk drivers on that same stretch of highway in just a matter of minutes. Fox 4's James Rose has the details.
Irving police say it all started when this white GMC pickup truck slammed into a guardrail just before 3:30 Sunday morning in the eastbound lane of Highway 183, just shy of Story Road. The driver ran off, was caught, and charged with DWI. While waiting for a wrecker, an Irving Fire Department aerial fire truck was blocking and protecting the crash scene. And at 4:40 a.m., investigators say an 18-wheeler slammed into the ladder truck at freeway speed.
It caused the fire truck to spin 180 degrees and then completely roll over one time.
The 18-wheeler caught fire. The impact sent 3 firefighters into the air and onto the freeway. The driver of the 18-wheeler was killed on the scene. As the firefighters were rushed to Parkland Hospital, unbelievably, it happened again.
And as they were trying to close the freeway down, another intoxicated driver came through our crime scene and struck the back end of one of our patrol cars. The officer was not injured because he was not in the car.
It's very sobering when you are awakened by a phone call from your dispatch center and there's an entire crew en route to the hospital.
Assistant Chief Wilson went directly to the hospital and heard the horror firsthand from his crew.
2 of the members were actually sitting on the front bumper of the aerial truck. The 3rd member had gone and talked to a police officer, returned to the aerial truck, and was standing facing the front of the truck, and he actually heard and of course felt the impact. He never lost consciousness.
Irving traffic officer Stephen Burris says he's never seen anything like it in nearly 25 years on the job.
This was basically the same size vehicle striking the same size vehicle. Fire truck weighs somewhere between 50 and 60,000 pounds, I would guess. And the speeds of the 18-wheeler, plus it appears that it is loaded, the trailer's loaded, struck the back end of the truck and pushed it forward, causing it to spin completely around, facing back westbound and rolling it one complete time.
Police say the driver of the first and third crashes were intoxicated. The driver of the 18-wheeler is identified as 52-year-old Lalev Kolev of North Dallas. The cause of his fiery crash remains under investigation.
I will tell you that the firefighter that did not lose consciousness was able to relate to me that he never heard any screeching from brakes or anything.
Assistant Chief Rusty Wilson wants this to be a wake-up call and teaching moment for everyone.
But we're out there protecting first responders that are there for you. If it's your family, if it's your children, if it's your spouse that's involved in that accident, first responders trying to help you and your family, we're public servants trying to help the public. Please try and help us.
James Rose, Fox 4 News.
2 of the drivers involved in the wrecks are now facing DWI charges. Police say 35-year-old Romero Martinez was behind the wheel in the first wreck firefighters were responding to, while 25-year-old Layla Rahimi was arrested as the driver in that final crash.
The family of an 18-year-old heading off to college this fall is now planning his funeral after he was killed trying to help someone else in a freeway pileup on I-35. Fox 4's Zahid Arab in Louisville tonight with more on the accident that involved that Good Samaritan. Zahid.
You know, Rich, even at a young age, families say it was Luis Aliman's instinct to help others. Around 4 this morning, on the way back from a family party in Dallas, he pulled over here in Louisville to help 2 people involved in a crash. A selfless act which ultimately ended his life.
18-year-old Luis Aliman just graduated high school in Mexico and was getting ready to start college there, studying marketing and promotions.
He loved Captain America.
But to his cousin Maria Mojica, he's already a hero.
I mean, he was such a good person. He didn't deserve what happened to him.
Mojica says her 18-year-old cousin saw that a car crashed just north of 35E in Round Grove Road and that 2 people needed help.
He's like, let's get off.
Louisville police say another car stopped too, when minutes later,
We just saw a car, like.
A Mustang suddenly crashes into the 2 parked cars at the Good Samaritans and hit Aliman.
I started looking for him everywhere. I was like, where is he? Where is he? I was yelling, where are you, Luis, Luis? And then next thing you know, I saw him just there on the ground.
Aliman died at the hospital. Louisville police arrested the driver of the first car that crashed, 32-year-old Tristan Harris, on suspicion of intoxication assault with serious bodily injuries. Even as she grieves, Mojica says there was power in the way her cousin lived life.
He's our Captain America trying to save the night.
To always be one of the good guys.
No matter if this might happen, we need to be good citizens and help people.
Maria says to make the situation worse, that second crash totaled her car. As for the investigation, Louisville police say it's ongoing. So far, they have not charged that second driver. Rich?
Zahid Arab in Louisville tonight. Thank you, Zahid.
Part of the Dallas North Tollway is closed tonight for construction. Drivers are being detoured around the area of Park Boulevard and Parker Road. That section of the roadway will open back up at 5 a.m. The closures are part of the DNT improvement project. Dallas firefighters used cadaver dogs to find the body of a woman who died in a house fire early this morning. It happened around 4 a.m. on Gatewood Place near White Rock Lake. Fire officials say the house was engulfed in flames when they arrived. A man was able to escape the home, but his elderly mother could not be found. Cadaver dogs were brought to the scene and located the woman's body. The cause of the fire is under investigation.
Police are investigating what they believe is a murder in Northwest Fort Worth. Investigators say about 9:30 last night, an argument between several people led to at least one person being shot. Julian Torres pronounced dead at the scene. A 51-year-old man has been charged with murder after another man was found dead Saturday in Mesquite at an apartment complex. Mesquite police arrested Patrick Gilstrap. Officers say they found the man's body at the Spanish Meadow Apartments about 5 p.m. on Saturday. Police have not released any more information in this case, including the victim's name.
The Maypearl City Council has accepted the resignation of its jailed police chief. The council says it will not take any additional action against 49-year-old Kevin Coffey. The former police chief has been charged with sexually assaulting a child. Court documents show Coffey began an online relationship with a 16-year-old girl 2 years ago. Investigators took computers from Coffey's home and office, as well as his body camera, cell phones, and thumb drives. He is being held on a $350,000 bond. A judge will decide on an order to keep the sheriff of Palo Pinto County away from a woman later this week. Sheriff Ira Mercer, seen in a previous Fox 4 interview, is accused by a woman of assaulting her last month, a case of domestic violence. Mercer was not arrested. He is under investigation, though, by the Texas Rangers. A judge will decide on the request for a protective order this Friday.
Medical examiners have not ruled on the manner or the cause of death for a baby who was rushed to the hospital Thursday from a Fort Worth home daycare. Child Protective Services workers are investigating if that daycare was being run illegally. The Child Care Licensing Division of CPS is now involved. The facility's on Woodbridge Drive in Fort Worth. Police say someone called Thursday afternoon about a 9-month-old boy who was having breathing problems. Paramedics rushed Dacian Steptoe Jr. to Cook Children's Hospital, where he died.
Look, we look forward to the facts coming out.
The president of Planned Parenthood defending her organization after the release of 2 controversial videos accusing the group of selling fetal tissue.
The dashcam video provided some answers about what happened when Sandra Bland was arrested, but there are still more questions about how her arrest was handled and what led to her death. Tonight, State Senator Royce West joining us in the studio to talk about the latest in that investigation.
Hello again, I'm Mike Ducey. Tonight on Sports Sunday at 10, ESPN Dallas columnist Jock Taylor with me. We're talking Cowboys just days away from the team's training camp opening.
As far as excitement going into a season about 18, this one ranks up there.
Stephen Jones agrees that expectations are high, but can Dallas find a running game that lives up to the hype? That topic among those we'll discuss tonight. Also at 10, the Rangers go for the sweep in Anaheim, but baseball's best player gets in the way. How Mike Trout forced the Rangers to settle for 2 out of 3. And from baseball to wiffle ball, but this is not your run-of-the-mill backyard game. A wiffle ball park unlike any you've seen, and it's right here in North Texas. The story on Sports Sunday at 10.
Protesters demanding answers in the arrest and death of a Waller County inmate are going right to the trooper who took her into custody. The group marched to the trooper's home in Katy this afternoon, but were only allowed to stand outside his apartment complex. Sandra Bland was arrested earlier this month by a trooper in Waller County. She was found hanging by a plastic bag in her jail cell 3 days later.
This officer was way out of line, and whenever you have a situation where black women are being brutalized by cops, black men and black people must stand up and say, hands off all our women. Had this police officer behavior had not been what it was, and many of us believe his behavior was illegal, this sister perhaps today would still be alive.
The Harris County medical examiner who completed Bland's autopsy says her injuries were consistent with those of a suicide. She did not have a hemorrhage or fractured neck. Toxicology reports are pending. Bland's family disputes the claim she killed herself and ordered an independent autopsy.
Joining us now, State Senator Royce West, who's been out in front of this from the beginning. And Senator, I'd like you to ask you about that news conference last week. Waller County officials, yourself, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. It was a united front with a message that Texas is going to handle the situation right. How did that all come together?
Well, it came together by making a call to the Lieutenant Governor's office, the Governor's office, some of the other state elected officials, as well as the local officials there in Waller County, and saying that we want to convene a meeting of all of the above, the local persons, the DPS, the Texas Rangers. Anyone who was involved is going to be involved in the investigation.
Yeah, one head off anything like what happened in Baltimore, Ferguson, anything. Was that the thought behind the process?
Well, a couple of things. I think that what happened in Baltimore kind of was a catalyst for making certain we got together. I think that we have to have a new protocol, if you will, in terms of how we are investigating police shootings. And when there's a lot of angst, if you will, around the shootings, I think that local elected officials as well as state elected officials need to come together.
By all accounts, we are looking at two separate investigations here. The arrest by the trooper, and let's talk about that first. He stopped her for a lane change. That escalated. Apparently he was angry she wouldn't put out her cigarette. In fact, let's look at some of the video released on Tuesday.
You mind putting out your cigarette, please, if you don't mind?
I'm in my car, but I have to put out my cigarette.
Well, you can step on out now.
I don't have to step out of my car.
Step out of the car.
Well, where does the investigation on the trooper stand at this point? I mean, immediately DPS said he didn't follow our protocol.
There's an internal investigation. I want to say thank you to the director of DPS, because when I called and asked for the immediate release of the body camera, of the dash camera, he was receptive to its immediate release in order to make certain that people knew what was going on. Now, we understand there were some issues concerning uploading it, but again, that's the video camera is being reviewed by the FBI to make certain there was no tampering. So there's still an internal investigation going on.
Okay, autopsy results released last week concluding Sandra Bland died from suicide, hanged herself. Are you confident that that investigation is proceeding as it should?
I'm confident that the overall investigation is proceeding as it should. We know that there's an independent investigation, independent autopsy. And so what will happen is that we will compare those results with the medical examiner's autopsies from Harris County.
You know, that suicides in jail is a whole different issue. I think we have like 300 a year across the country. Is there something more that needs to be done to highlight this problem, to maybe do something about it?
I think that, let me highlight the investigation. Investigation, we need to make certain we have ethnically diverse grand jury that's listening to this. As it relates to suicides, yes, jails have become the dumping ground for mental ill patients. And we need to look at that issue as a legislature, not only in Texas, but around the country.
Real quick follow-up. You talk about ethnically diverse grand jury. Has there been a history of that not happening in Waller County?
Well, you know, there's been a history of racial issues in Waller County. And so if we're going to have transparency with this investigation, where everyone can make certain that there's no stone left unturned and that the fact finders look at everything, then we need to make certain that the fact finders are representative of a particular county.
As always, thank you, Senator Royce West, for joining us here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
The Texas State Senate has scheduled a hearing to investigate the workings of Planned Parenthood affiliates in Texas. The Health and Human Services Committee hearing stems from the release of an undercover video. This video suggests the organization tries to profit from donations of fetus tissue. Planned Parenthood says the videos were edited to support extremist false claims. The organization's president, Cecil Richards, says Planned Parenthood does not charge a fee for the fetal tissue.
It's not a fee. It's actually just the cost of transmitting this material to research institutes.
But that does improve the finances of the clinic, doesn't it?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And in fact, George, it's really important. They have repeatedly tried to entrap doctors. I mean, we've now seen, that they repeatedly say, "Wouldn't you do this for money?" And the doctors say no.
The Senate committee will meet Wednesday to consider strengthening regulations on abortion providers. The Coast Guard says a boat belonging to two missing 14-year-old fishermen has been found off Florida's Atlantic coast. Perry Cohen and Austin Stefanos were last seen Friday buying fuel for their 19-foot boat. Investigators say the boat was found capsized and neither boy was in or around that boat. NFL Hall of Famer Joe Namath was offering a $100,000 reward in that search. Perry is Namath's neighbor. The former football player said the boys were experienced boaters. The four Marines killed by a gunman in Chattanooga, Tennessee may be eligible for a Purple Heart. A report says the Purple Heart packages are being prepared but will only be awarded if the FBI says Mohammed Yusuf Abdul Aziz had terror ties. And the FBI won't give out that kind of information until this investigation is complete. According to the report, the Marine Corps is also looking into whether or not the Marine who was injured during the attack could be awarded a Purple Heart as well. A funeral was held this morning for one of the Chattanooga shooting victims. Servicemen stood and saluted the coffin-carrying Marine Lance Corporal Skip Wells. The 21-year-old Wells was buried near Atlanta. His high school held a tribute last week that drew thousands. It's been a weekend of memorials in Louisiana. A local Catholic church held a service in honor of the two lives lost in Thursday night's theater shooting. Funerals for both victims, Macy Bro and Jillian Johnson, will be held on Monday. Authorities are still trying to determine why John Russell Hauser opened fire at the Grand 16 Theater. He was able to legally buy a weapon in Alabama despite his history of mental illness. The case has reignited the gun control debate. The city of Fort Worth in the hot seat when it comes to convention center seating. Why the city council will have to decide if renovating is worth the investment.
Also ahead, the U.S. government fining Fiat Chrysler millions of dollars, what the automaker is accused of. Nearly a dozen train cars derailed in Mansfield this afternoon. Happened in the 4000 block of Britton Road. These pictures of the scene were sent in to our newsroom. The cars were all carrying coal. 2 power lines knocked down. Small fire created. Police say the derailment never affected traffic and no one was injured. We don't know yet what caused the train cars to derail. Seating at the old Fort Worth Convention Center arena is pretty shabby. It was built in 1968. It's time to rebuild the new arena, but that's not going to happen for a while.
It will cost almost $1 million to replace more than 10,000 seats, and the City Council has been asked to consider what the city stands to lose if the repairs are not done. Fox 4's Phil Alvarado has the story.
The whole building itself it's outlived its lifespan and what the market needs today in an arena and in a convention center.
And nothing shows the arena's age more than its seats.
And those seats are pretty despicable, and people complain about them.
There's no backing there any longer.
It's a problem that could cost close to $1 million to fix. People are in town for a convention right now.
Because the seats have rips and tears and screws are loose, and it's just, you sit down at your own risk.
If you bought a ticket for an event here and this was your seat, you'd want your money back. Worse, you don't want to start losing convention business. 59 conventions are booked here over the next 5 years.
All of these convention groups are coming into town, spending money, creating tax dollars. We want to keep them here and make sure they've got a great experience.
So, does the city spend money to repair or replace the seats when there are plans to tear down the 1968 downtown convention arena and build a new one downtown? A project that still could be 7 to 10 years away. A multi-purpose arena will also be built in the cultural district, but it won't be finished until about 2019. The city council has to decide if it's worth spending the money.
Well, very few of those seats have been touched in the last 30 to 40 years or more, and they're pretty bad.
They're older, they're cracked, they're not what they could be.
Phil Alvarado, Fox 4 News.
The new seating would be paid for by the convention center with money that's still in its budget and from its other revenues.
The Senate and the House had odds again over how to extend the Highway Trust Fund, what came out of a rare Sunday session in the Senate.
President Obama makes a groundbreaking trip to one African nation. Coming up, the important business he'll discuss.
Tomorrow, the Boy Scouts of America could officially end its longtime ban on openly gay adult leaders. The organization based in Irving okayed a resolution to repeal the ban earlier this month. An 80-member board will decide whether to approve the policy change at a meeting Monday. Individual troops would be allowed to put together their own policies. Most troops are sponsored by churches.
Fiat Chrysler will be fined $105 million by the U.S. government for violating safety laws. Sources say the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration plans to reveal the punishment tomorrow. The official announcement has not yet been made. In addition to the record fine, Fiat Chrysler must also agree to have a monitor review all recalls. The company is accused of failing to notify customers of recalls and allowing delays in distributing parts.
A congressional standoff over how to renew highway funding bill led to a rare Sunday session in the Senate. The Senate and the House are at odds now over how to move forward with upgrades and repairs to the nation's infrastructure desperately needed. Fox reporter Kristen Fisher has the latest from Washington.
What the Senate voted on today were two procedural votes to break filibusters on amendments to the highway bill. The first vote was for a full repeal of Obamacare. It did not pass. It was never expected to. The second vote, and this was the big one today, was a vote to reauthorize the Export-Import Bank. That's the official export credit agency of the U.S. government. It offers loans to U.S. businesses to sell products overseas. And today, it did pass the Senate 67 to 26. Now remember, these were strictly procedural votes. They're not votes to actually adopt the amendments. Expect that to happen sometime this week. But the most exciting thing to happen in the Senate today was not the votes. It was the heated back and forth between Republican leadership and conservatives like Ted Cruz. On Friday, Cruz called the Senate Majority Leader a, quote, liar from the Senate floor. He says Mitch McConnell lied to him about his plans for this Export-Import Bank amendment. Well, today, the number 2 in the Senate, Republican Senator Orrin Hatch, took Cruz to town for those remarks without ever mentioning his name.
I recognize that many of my colleagues are quite new to the Senate and may not yet have had many opportunities to experience its proper institutional role as a forum for reasoned discussion.
I would note that it is entirely consistent with decorum and with the nature of this body, traditionally as the world's greatest deliberative body, to speak the truth. Speaking the truth about actions is entirely consistent with civility.
Today, the Senate Majority Leader also filed a bill to defund Planned Parenthood, but it's unclear exactly when that bill will be considered. In Washington, Kristen Fisher, Fox News.
The Tour de France bicycle race may have some new security concerns following a crash at a barricade in Paris today. Police say a car struck a taxi, crashed through the barricades near the finish line. Cyclists and spectators were not there yet. French police opened fire on the car after they say it sped toward them. The people who were in the car jumped out. A manhunt currently underway for 4 people. Police say they do not suspect it was the work of terrorists. President Barack Obama is in Ethiopia now, making it the first ever visit to that African country by an American president.
He's scheduled to speak at the African Union. The president spent Saturday in Kenya focusing on the country's future and its relationship with the U.S. Mr. Obama asked his Kenyan counterpart to be open to gay rights and continue the fight against terrorists like al-Shabaab, an al-Qaeda connected group based in neighboring Somalia.
They must be met with force, and they must also be met, though, with a forceful commitment to uphold the rule of law and respect for human rights, and to treat everybody who's peaceful and law-abiding fairly and equally.
While in Ethiopia, President Obama will also meet with regional leaders to discuss the crisis in South Sudan.
3 prison workers will be prosecuted for their alleged involvement in the escape of a Mexican drug lord. Authorities say they aided in Joaquin El Chapo Guzman's prison break earlier this month. Prosecutors say there was sufficient evidence that the employees helped Guzman escape through a 1-mile-long tunnel. 7 prison workers were originally held in connection with the escape. 4 were released because of a lack of evidence.
We've had a long stretch of hot days, upper 90s, low 100s, officially 100 today at DFW, and it looks like we have a few more to go. Your forecast for the upcoming work week is coming up.
The only U.S. city in the running for the 2020 2024 Olympic Games may not want the games after all. Why the Olympic Committee wants an answer now, but Boston's mayor is stalling.
Tonight's Lone Star Adventure is a real high flyer, treetop high, an aerial adventure just minutes from downtown Dallas. And it is straight ahead.
I'm Mike Ducey. Tonight on Sports Sunday at 10, it is just about that time again. The Cowboys report to camp on Tuesday. Jock Taylor from ESPN Dallas in studio with me with a dead solid lock prediction on the number of wins this team will get this year. Also, NASCAR at the Brickyard, and this Kyle Busch streak is becoming really impressive. How he managed to win today at Indianapolis. Plus,
and that one's going to find the strike zone here on the inside part of the plate. Tim Torres, the left-hander.
remember playing wiffle ball? Well, chances are you never played in a place like this, a North Texas backyard for the kid in all of us. Tonight on Sports Sunday at 10.
Right now, we are continuing to follow breaking news involving a suspicious car under investigation at DFW Airport. The car was left curbside at Terminal D. Here's a live look at DFW now. Air traffic still moving, but cars are being diverted to other terminal entrances, and the walkway near that car is closed temporarily. We do have a crew on the scene gathering information, and we will bring you updates as they come in.
This week's Lone Star Adventure is a treetop adventure, a unique aerial experience unlike any other in Texas, like few in the world. We are headed to South Dallas for Trinity Forest Adventure Park.
One right there for you. There you go. Pull them up and put it on like a backpack.
Gearing up, the equipment, and ground school.
So this right here is your Smart Snap?
Will all seem familiar if you've ever been on a zip line course.
Pick up.
But Trinity Forest Adventure is more than that. The owners of the park were actually inspired by a trip to Costa Rica where they did something similar to this. They said to themselves, this is something we can do in Texas.
We're not a zipline park, we're an aerial adventure park. It's like a ropes course. I have the Need for Speed and Canopy Tour combined. Whereas the zipline park is mostly just going to be zip lines. Ours is more like an obstacle course in the trees.
Katie Garris runs the park. Her parents own it.
My dad did some research on adventure parks and found out that there's nothing like it in Texas yet. Sydney, you got the blocks tangled. We opened the park in November of 2013. We've made a few adjustments to the course since then. We have 6 different courses with different levels of difficulty as well as height. We have 3 different heights.
It's like a ski resort with courses color-coded for difficulty and height.
This is actually kind of easy.
The black is the toughest, as high as 50 feet up.
Most people that when they do it, they're done. Their arms are done, their legs are a little done, they're pretty exhausted. It's pretty awesome.
Oh God.
It's pretty challenging if you do it the whole way, the proper way that we have it designed for. We also have it designed where you can do it an easier way if you're not as strong or as able to do it, where you can actually put your trolley on and experience the height and how cool it is to be up there 45 feet up above the tree line and then still be able to do the really cool quick drop at the end.
This is actually my 3rd time being out here and I absolutely love it. It's really challenging and fun, and you get to go out of your comfort zone and it's really fun. I've never been afraid of heights, but my 2nd time I was here, I was really flipped out. I don't know why. I just told myself I could do it and no matter what, it would catch me and I'd be okay.
On the edge of the great Trinity Forest, just 18 minutes from downtown Dallas. A ticket buys you 3 hours of aerial adventure on any or all of the courses here. For more on Trinity Forest Adventure Park, check out the story on our website. You can find dozens of Lone Star adventures at fox4news.com. Click on news, find that Lone Star tag, bookmark it, visit often. Great place, and I knew it was there, never been there before. Pleasantly surprised.
Everyone looks really high up, but you look like you were maybe a few inches
Raul
off.
Cantu did another fantastic job, but I wish he had included that me scraping my butt along the short one.
3 hours. Some of that, I mean, you said you have to be
you'd have to be the
fit.
fittest person on the planet to do 3 hours of that because some of it's really wearing.
That's a workout.
It looks fun. Yeah,
it was fun.
Better than just ordinary
And you got to
run,
keep
right?
the workout short though in this kind of weather. So
you do. You got to drink a lot of water. Hydrate. 100 today officially at DFW, the first time since September 10th of last year. Even though a good portion of North Texas has already hit 100, it didn't at the airport, but that happened today. And on average, the last one we get is August 26th, so that means we have a month. But the latest occurrence ever recorded, October 3rd. So typically at the end of August is when we don't see them anymore, but it could always happen again through September and October. On average at DFW, 18 100-degree days each year. We're at 1, so we have a way to go. And I think we can get a couple more in there in the next few days. We're going to flirt with 100 degrees, at least Monday through Wednesday, and then we'll see a front come in and start to drop our temperatures some. Keep in mind, 97 is what's normal for this time of year. Many of our weather trackers over 100 today in Duncanville and Waxahachie at 101, 102 from Rodney Nicely and White Wright, 100 in Decatur, as well as in Granbury with all that sunshine. And we're still hanging in the 90s in a lot of areas, 94 in both Dallas and Fort Worth, 91 in Denton, a little bit cooler for Waxahachie, 85 there, 86 in Cleburne, 89 in Corsicana. Winds out of the south and southeast about 8 to 12 miles an hour in most spots. I think that will generally be our breeze as we go through the night. And this is what the radar picture will look like. Pretty similar to what we've seen recently, just a few fair weather clouds. Was watching a couple of showers in East Texas. Those have dissipated, nothing going on there. And overall, pretty quiet for most of the state. Stronger thunderstorms moving through Kansas this evening. And we got a couple of showers well to our south and east. Those will not impact us. High pressure is in control. What does that mean? Relatively dry, stable air is in place, and we don't have rain in the forecast. And that's what we'll see at least until Wednesday. Starting Wednesday, going into Thursday, this ridge shifts westward, and that allows a weak front to move in. I don't expect widespread rain, but a few showers and storms will be in our forecast starting Thursday night and continuing at least into the first part of our weekend. Until then, Plenty of heat and humidity. We wake up to upper 70s, low 80s. By your lunch hour, we're back into the mid 90s and then upper 90s to about 100 degrees for those high temperatures again tomorrow afternoon. From about 4 to 7, it is just unbearably hot. And when you factor in the humidity, it will feel several degrees warmer. So keep that in mind. And if you have to work out in the sunshine, it's going to feel even warmer than that. But we had a heat index today close to 104. Definitely going to have that for your Monday, really Tuesday and Wednesday. And then check out the rain chances, 10 to 20%. Thursday into Saturday. High temperatures back to normal at 97, but it looks like they'll creep back up by the end of next weekend.
All right, thank you, Allie. Congratulations to the Dallas Elite women's football team. It is their inaugural year, but this team has worked hard and it is paying off. They are off to the championship in Los Angeles, where they will play the Washington, D.C. Divas. We recently had 2 elite team members in studio. They talked about how players come from all walks of life and love that they are strong role models to young girls. The U.S. Olympic Committee has given Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker an ultimatum on bringing the games to Boston in 2024.
The committee was looking for an answer by the end of the day, but Governor Charlie Baker says he's just not ready to take a position. Baker says he wants to see what a consultant hired by the state has to say first, and that's not going to happen until August. Governor Baker says he plans to get in touch with the USOC tomorrow. So far, 5 cities are bidding for those 2024 games: Boston, Budapest, Hamburg, Paris, and Rome. Our North Texas basketball coach will be honored Monday at the White House. We'll tell you why next on Fox 4 News.
Bobby Christina Brown, the 22-year-old daughter of the late singer and entertainer Whitney Houston, has died. Brown was moved to hospice care last month after spending 5 months in the hospital. She was found unresponsive in a bathtub in her home January 31st. A lawsuit accuses Brown's boyfriend, Nick Gordon, of physical and emotional abuse. He has not faced any criminal charges. Well, today marks the 25th anniversary of the signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act by President George H.W. Bush. The ADA gives civil rights protections to individuals with disabilities similar to those provided on the basis of race, sex, and religion. This week, a North Texas college basketball coach will be honored at the White House for his work helping those who face physical challenges. Doug Garner is the head coach for UT Arlington's wheelchair basketball team. Coach Garner will be named a champion of courage. The ceremony will be streamed live at 9 a.m. tomorrow on the White House website.
Ant-Man came up big at the weekend box office.
Scott, I need you to be the Ant-Man.
The Marvel flick narrowly beat out Adam Sandler's newest action film, Pixels. Minions dropped to third place. Trainwreck and Southpaw round out the top 5.
Some grim predictions about the Texas economy when oil prices plummeted last summer, but a year later, surprising strength. Dan Godwin finds out why in tonight's Fox Forward.
It's been more than a year since the price of oil began to collapse. Many predicted the sudden drop in energy costs would deal a devastating blow to the Texas economy.
Still, the grimmest predictions have not come to pass. Dan Godwin examines why in tonight's Fox Forward.
You think back to a little more than a year ago, oil was selling for $107 a barrel. The price these days, not even half that. Many thought the precipitous drop had the potential to take down the whole Texas economy, but the state is showing some resilience. So what exactly is going on in a place that's synonymous with the oil and gas industry? Mike Davis is an economics professor at SMU. Thanks for coming in.
Glad to be here.
So how big a hit has the oil industry, the energy industry, taken in Texas?
Well, the industry itself, it's not one industry, it's lots of different things. It's independents, it's majors, but some sectors, some operators really have taken a hit from this.
But the overall Texas economy, the unemployment rate in this state, still what,
4.3%.
4.3%. The national rate, 5.5.
5.5. We're still outperforming, significantly outperforming the rest of the nation. And that's kind of the cool thing. Everybody was saying back in December, oh, Texas is in trouble. The Texas miracle is going to go away. And clearly we've taken a hit. But we're still doing great.
So something, what, in your estimation, is something going on? Are we entering a new era economically in Texas where we're less tied to?
Yes, Absolutely. There's, I think, a couple, three things going on. One is the oil producers themselves were prepared for this. Number two, we've got a huge tech sector going on. That's here in Dallas and that's down in Austin. That's enormous. And then even in Houston, there's a petrochemical industry. They actually buy oil and they're being helped by the lower prices.
Prices could still, though, go lower. It's not as if we can say, boy, that was a steep drop and now oil prices are going to stabilize.
Yeah, listen, no one can predict oil prices, and I'm not predicting this, but we have seen oil prices well below $30 a barrel in pretty much everybody's recent memory. Oil markets are the most crazy, high-strung markets you could imagine. Any little shock can make prices go up or down.
But overall, as an economist, are you surprised by the performance overall of Texas?
You know, no, not really. I mean, there were a lot of fundamental reasons for Texas to have a really strong economy. Oil was just part of the story, and it was never even the most important part of the story. Nothing lasts forever, but right now the Texas economy is still doing really well.
All right, Mike Davis, economics professor with SMU, thank you so much.
Glad to be here.
The Cowboys head to Oxnard in a couple of days. John Jock Taylor from ESPN joins Mike Ducey in the studio to talk Foxnard. That's next on Sports Sunday. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Lou.
We need to come out playing well tomorrow. I mean, it's important. We've been talking about all year long what we need to do at home, and we've got to start with game one. Good spot. I mean, good spot to be in this weekend. In the road trip and going home to face the Yankees and Giants in Houston.
New information on a deadly plane crash this afternoon involving a Fort Worth couple. Investigators say 64-year-old Charles Fair and his wife Vicky were the only people on board the single-engine Beechcraft Bonanza. It went down near Colbert, Oklahoma. Charles was killed. Vicky was taken to an area hospital. That couple traveling from Springfield, Missouri to Spinks Airport in Fort Worth. The FAA says the pilot reported engine trouble before the crash.
And it's an all clear at DFW Airport after reports of a suspicious car outside Terminal D. Cars and passengers were temporarily diverted during the investigation, but air traffic was not affected. We have a crew on the scene working to get more information. All the latest tomorrow morning on Good Day.
Looks like still a couple of days for the upcoming work week with near 100-degree temperatures, and then some small rain chances will slightly cool us off toward the end of the work week. 97 is what's normal.
All right, you got to take it easy out there. It is hot, hot, hot. Have a wonderful week, everyone.
Stay right there. Sports Sunday's up next.